I'm looking out at a sea of Americans who made a choice when they were young men and young women to do something most Americans will not, to serve something greater than yourselves, to fight for God and country, for freedom and the Constitution.
Everybody wants to be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines.
That was Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, as well as President Trump, addressing some 800 of America's top military leaders earlier today. Their goal, make America's military mighty once again. This coincides with the Marine Corps revealing it has met its 2025 recruiting goals and crediting their success to maintaining strict, unapologetic standards. Meanwhile, the U.S. military is seeing a striking surge in women answering the call. About 7,260 more female recruits so far this year than the same time last year, lifting the number of women serving to roughly 24,000 and putting women at nearly 1 in 5 new enlistees. At the same time, Pentagon figures show the services have shipped more than 115,000 recruits to training by mid-year and are on pace to top last year's total. So in short, every active branch in the military is meeting or exceeding its goals. Looks a little different this year. And this is it, the Trump effect officially at work, with the surge reflecting renewed confidence in leadership under President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. One spokesperson from the Pentagon saying leadership matters and women are excited to serve under strong leadership. So what does this surge mean for preparedness for women in uniform and for the culture of the force? I spoke with someone you might recognize for her signature scarves during the pandemic. She's very fashionable, but also someone who wore the Army uniform as a colonel in military medicine. That is Dr. Deborah Birx. Now, we spoke prior to today's address about her experience serving her country in this capacity and how things have since changed. She now tells me, quote, I was encouraged by Secretary Hegseth's acknowledgement of the sacrifices of our sailors, soldiers, and airmen are making along with their families. The focus on training and maintenance is critical, and ensuring military fitness across all active duty members is crucial. Having been on active duty, I understand the importance of clear communication, defining the mission, and creating clear objectives and goals is essential to the military mission. Here is that conversation. Watch. Dr. Birx, thank you so much for being with us. Again, we usually talk to you about very, very different topics, but something people may not know about you, unless they've done the research, which they should have done, is that you spent about 30 years in the military. Tell us about it.
You know, at the time, to be totally clear, I didn't understand that because my husband took the Army scholarship in college and in medical school and had them pay for it, that meant that he was really in the military. So when he started at Walter Reed, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to join the Army to be with him. So I didn't do a lot of research. I joined, it seemed like a great place to train. Walter Reed was an amazing place to train in medicine. I'm just amazing in the 80s. And I think what people don't realize, there weren't that many women then, but I feel like I was given amazing opportunities. So yes, trained in the military, trained then in immunology, joint fellowship with NIH. And then after really serving in the clinic and continuing to be in the clinic, I also was given the opportunity to do research and really supported at the highest level of the military throughout. I think what shocks many people is the amount of training and continuous improvement that's required.
Now, even for you being a scientist and a medical professional in the military, when you say training, did you actually have to do basic training?
So we actually have to pass our PT test every 6 months. And I credit it now with the reason I'm in somewhat okay shape, because as I got older in the military, you couldn't just go out and do it every 6 months anymore. When you had to do a minimum number of push-ups and a 2-mile run and these sit-ups, I actually had to practice. So that forced me to stay in shape, because we all think we're still in shape, but we don't actually have to go out and do a PT test every 6 months. And you don't want to embarrass your whole command that this leader over here then failed. I mean,
right. But let's get back to, again, what we were saying at the beginning of the segment, women. I mean, first of all, we know that military enlistment was way, way down under the last administration. Now those numbers ticking up, but again, especially amongst women. Why do you think that is?
I think two reasons. There's a lot of respect now for women in the military, and I think you get amazing leadership and management and budgetary training. I mean, at the time, I was a physician, and I'm like, I'm doing my job seeing patients. Why do I have to learn how to manage teams and learn how to do budgeting? But I use that all the time now, and I think what people should be surprised at is how much the military invests in you when you're part of them.
I think a lot of people wouldn't even realize. To your point, you said when your husband, enlisted, but you thought, oh, well, now you have to join in order to be with him. I think a lot of people don't realize that. They think of joining the military as one thing. I'm going to be prepared to potentially go to war or go somewhere to be stationed. They don't realize that there's so much more to it.
Well, and how much the families are supporting those individuals. Because I remember when I got pregnant and had children after my fellowship, and I was seeing patients, and it was a privilege. For 25 years, I saw patients in the military. I mean, it was really extraordinary to be able to constantly ground yourself in the care of others. But I think you don't realize that you also have to say, if I'm deployed, who's going to take care of my kids? And you fill out all that paperwork. So there still is a potential
that you would be deployed. So you're always at the ready.
Totally.
Wow.
Totally. But, I think it teaches you to manage things and teaches you to really plan for the future. I have to say, I sometimes say to my generals, I'm not sure I was the best employee.
Why not? Did you want to do your own thing?
No, because I had a problem accepting no. I would say, well, that just means no today. I'll come back tomorrow and ask again. So I did have trouble with that. But I have to say, they really were driven by science and data and really gave me remarkable opportunities. And so for these new women, I wish the best for them. They'll have a great experience.
What would you say, and I know it's hard to distill it, but what would you say is maybe one of the best lessons you learned?
Leadership and how to keep teams going.
Well, and we certainly have seen you do that in action, indeed, during the pandemic, of course. And Dr. Birx, we thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.